I left a bag of clothes out for donation pickup. The next morning, my neighbor walked by wearing my deceased mother's sweater. I choked. She smiled and said, "Finders keepers. The curb is public property." I told her it wasn't for her. She replied, "She's gone. Someone should enjoy it." That night, I found our entire trash can emptied on our porch. Inside it, every birthday card my mother ever wrote to me. She dug through our paper shredder bin. What I found hanging from her rearview mirror days later wasn't just my mom's sweater, it was her necklace from the funeral. I live in Mesa, Arizona. Not the flashy part. Willow Bend is one of those older, quiet neighborhoods where lawns are trimmed, neighbors nod but never talk much, and everyone thinks they're better than everyone else. We've been here 15 years. My mom moved in with me during her last year of life. Cancer took her down fast. Stage 4 pancreatic. She was gone in 4 months. Losing her broke something in me. I was her only child. My dad bailed when I was 7, so it was always just me and her. She was my person. After the funeral, I left her room untouched. Her clothes still smelled like her. Her favorite sweater, the cream one with pink flowers near the collar, still hung near the door. I couldn't bring myself to throw anything away. Her jewelry box stayed closed. Her books untouched. Her presence lingered in every corner of the house. But 3 months after she died, I started sorting through some of her things. I had to. It was either that or lose my mind. I packed one paper grocery bag with a few items, scarves, a cardigan, that flowered sweater, and put it out front for the Sunday donation pickup. Hospice of the Valley does weekly runs through the neighborhood. I wrote, "Donation," across the bag in black marker and left it on the curb Saturday night. Sunday morning, I went out to get the paper. My neighbor Susan was walking by with her stupid white dog, Peanut. She's probably 60, thin, always walking laps around the block like it's her job. She's one of those women who acts like she owns the street. She always gives me weird smiles, asks nosy questions, and stares too long. But that morning? She wasn't just walking. She was wearing my mother's sweater. My throat closed up. I knew that sweater. I knew the tiny snag on the left sleeve. I knew the way the stitching had come loose near the collar because my mom would always fidget with it while watching TV. It was my mom's. No question. "Susan," I said, my voice shaking. She looked over, smiled like she'd won a prize. "Morning," she chirped. "That sweater, where did you get it?" She raised her eyebrows like she was surprised I asked. "Found it on the curb this morning. Early walk. It's beautiful, isn't it?" I stared at her. "That wasn't for you. It was for donation." Hospice pickup. She gave a little shrug and kept smiling. "Curb's public property, hon. First come, first serve." My stomach twisted. That belonged to my mother. She passed away. Her smile didn't change. She's gone now. Someone should enjoy it. And she walked away. I stood there frozen. My fists clenched. I wanted to scream. But I just stood there and watched her walk off with a piece of my mother like it meant nothing. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying her words. The way she said it. She's gone. Like my mom was garbage. Like she had the right to take what she wanted just because no one stopped her. The next morning, I stepped outside and gagged. Our entire trash can had been dumped out onto the porch. Every bag torn open. Food scraps, rotten fruit, wet paper, coffee grounds everywhere. But right in the middle, laid out perfectly, were every single birthday card my mom ever wrote me. She must have dug through our shredded paper bin, pieced them together. She even tied them up with one of my mom's hair ties. I picked up one of the cards. It was from my 18th birthday. My mom had written, "No matter how old you get, you'll always be my baby." It was stained with something brown. Maybe coffee. Maybe worse. I don't even remember going back inside. My hands were numb. My brain just shut off. 3 days later, I saw it. Her car was parked in her driveway. She was inside, probably watching TV. From the sidewalk, I could see something hanging from her rearview mirror. At first, I thought it was just a trinket. But it wasn't. It was my mother's necklace. The locket. The one we had buried her with. The funeral director had placed it around her neck before they closed the casket. I remember standing there, staring at it through my tears, knowing she'd have it with her forever. Susan had it. Hanging from her mirror like a souvenir. I stared at it until my vision blurred. My heart pounded so hard it hurt. That necklace had been inside my mother's casket. And now it was swaying in the sun like a trophy. That's when I knew. This wasn't an accident. Susan didn't just find things. She was going through our trash. Our shredder bin. Our donation bags. She was digging into our grief. And she was proud of it. So I started watching her. Every morning, I sat by the window. I wrote down when she left the house, when she walked the dog, when she drove away. I memorized her routine. She had a lockbox on her front porch where delivery drivers left packages. She left her garage open when she watered her lawn. She kept spare keys in a planter near her back door. She didn't know I was watching. But I was. I started collecting. Planning. And I wasn't going to let her forget my mother ever again. I didn't tell anyone. Not my husband. Not my sister who lived 3 states away. Not even my therapist. This wasn't something you shared. It was personal. It was mine. I started small. Harmless things, at first. I'd walk Peanut's exact route after Susan each morning and casually knock over her trash bins with my foot. If she left a garden light on overnight, I'd twist it just enough so it'd flicker all night long. Her mailbox lid? I'd leave it open in the rain. Every single time. Petty, I know. But it gave me time to think. The necklace haunted me. How the hell did she get it? Did she bribe someone at the funeral home? Did she sneak into the viewing? Was the casket even sealed when they told me it was? The idea that she touched my mother's body made me feel sick. One Tuesday morning, she left her garage open after her walk, just like always. And I saw it, her workbench. Shelves full of tools, boxes, and hanging hooks. One of those hooks held the sweater again. My mother's sweater. She had it hanging up like a prize. That night I took action. I waited until she left for her wine night with the ladies on the next street over. She always took her little red Subaru, gone from 6 o'clock to about 9:30, like clockwork. I dressed in black. I wore gloves. I took my mother's old scarf with me, the purple one she wore when she baked. I snuck into Susan's garage, just like I'd planned. And I didn't steal anything. I didn't damage anything. I just took the sweater down. I folded it and laid it on her workbench. On top of it, I placed the scarf in a perfect bow. Then I left. I wanted her to know I'd been there. The next morning, she didn't take her walk. Her car didn't move. Her garage door stayed shut. 3 days passed. Then things got weird. I found peanut butter smeared across our mailbox one morning. Just a lid, but enough to attract ants. 2 days later, our outdoor faucet was turned on full blast during the night. Flooded half the front yard. And then the kicker. Our security camera wiring was cut. Clean slice. I didn't even notice until I checked the app and saw it had gone offline around 2:12 a.m. That's when I knew. She was watching me back. So I escalated. I waited until the next night she was out. I had an old cassette recorder, one my mom used to tape bedtime stories for me when she worked late shifts at the hospital. I recorded her voice from those tapes, cut the audio up. Just soft phrases. I'm still here. Why did you take it? You don't belong. I played them through a Bluetooth speaker and hid it near her side window just past 2 a.m. Her bedroom light flicked on 10 minutes later. The next morning, Susan had bags under her eyes and didn't even glance my way when she walked past. But then it changed again. That afternoon, she walked across my lawn and rang my bell. Just stood there, smiling that same fake smile. I opened the door. Didn't say a word. She said, "Your mother's locket is beautiful. Really catches the light." I didn't move. Shame about the picture inside though. She added, her smile sharp now. Little water damage. You really should have kept it somewhere safe. Then she walked away. She knew I'd seen it. And now she was daring me to do something about it. So I did. The next step wasn't just about petty payback. It was about pulling the truth out. I needed to know how she got the necklace. What else she took. Why she was doing this. And I had a plan to get that answer. I knew she wouldn't confess if I asked her straight. Susan was too proud, too smug. She thought she had the upper hand. She thought I'd break down and walk away, let her keep what she stole. So I decided to make her talk without knowing she was doing it. I bought a nanny cam. Tiny thing, shaped like a phone charger. I installed it inside a decorative power cube on my front table. I also took out an old framed photo of my mom and me and placed it right next to the cam. The photo was dusty and faded, perfect bait. Then I left my front door unlocked one Friday afternoon and walked my dog to the park like I always did. I made sure Susan saw me from her kitchen window. When I came back 40 minutes later, the picture frame was turned around. Not knocked over. Just turned. I checked the footage. She came in at 2:12 p.m. calm. Casual. Didn't even pause. She walked straight to the table, picked up the photo, stared at it. Then she muttered something I couldn't make out and placed it back, face down. Then she walked down the hallway toward the bedrooms. The footage cut off after that. I ran to my mom's old room. Everything looked untouched. But when I opened the closet, the donation bag was gone. Not just rummaged through, gone. I'd hidden it behind old suitcases, but she must have seen me put it there on some earlier day. She waited until I gave her the chance. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about stuff. She wanted to erase my mom, piece by piece. And I had no idea why. So I dug. I went to the funeral home and asked about the necklace. They said the body was sealed with the locket. They had photos. They were required to take them for records. But when they pulled up the file, the photo of her in the casket, the locket wasn't there. I demanded to speak to the manager. He apologized, stammered. It must have fallen off before transport, he said. We had a staff turnover that week. Maybe it got misplaced. I asked for the name of who prepped the body. It was a temp assistant. Worked 1 week. Then gone. His last day? The same week Susan had been out of town. It clicked. I went home and checked the HOA newsletter archives. Sure enough, she'd submitted a temporary absence note for 3 days that exact week. She said she was visiting her sister in Flagstaff. She lied. She never left. And then I remembered. Susan's niece had just started working part-time at the funeral home back in March. She had bragged about it at a neighborhood potluck, said, "It's just paperwork and cleaning up." She had help. This wasn't just creepy anymore. It was coordinated. Susan didn't just take things. She had planned this. Now it wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice. And I wasn't going to stop until she lost something that meant everything to her. I wasn't afraid of her anymore. She could dig through my trash, stalk my house, take what she wanted. But now I had something stronger than fear. I had the truth. And I had proof. The camera footage. The funeral home screw-up. Her niece's name on the employment logs. Her HOA lie. It all lined up. I didn't go to the police. Not yet. I wanted Susan to feel what I felt. Not just once, but over and over again. Grief that claws into your chest and won't let go. Confusion that makes you question your own memory. Rage that has nowhere to go. So I made her believe her mind was slipping. I printed copies of the photo from the funeral home, my mother, in her casket, without the necklace. I mailed one every 3 days. No return address. Just a single sentence written in red marker on the back. You forgot something. Then I left the scarf. My mother's favorite. Folded neatly on her front porch, tied with a funeral home brochure. I sprayed my mother's perfume in her mailbox. White linen by Estee Lauder. Susan would know it. She once asked what scent it was after hugging my mom at a Christmas party. By the 2nd week, she stopped walking the dog. By the 3rd, she installed security cameras. By the 4th, I started digging into her past. Public records showed she wasn't always Susan Taylor. Her name used to be Susan DeWitt. Changed it in the 90s after her husband died. There was no record of a sister in Flagstaff. No real family at all. But what really caught my attention? Her mother's obituary from 2003. It was short. 1 paragraph. No photo. And it said she was cremated. I don't know what kind of mother Susan had, but I knew one thing: whatever pain she was still holding onto, she had dumped it onto me. Onto my grief. And I wanted to return it. I left one final box at her door. Inside, my mother's birthday cards. The originals. The ones she ruined with garbage water and peanut butter. I had saved them, dried them out, cleaned them page by page. I returned them carefully, laid out in order, each one with a sticky note. Still here. I watched from my car as she opened the box. Her knees buckled. She dropped it. Cards scattered like leaves across her porch. The next morning, the necklace was gone from her rearview mirror. I thought it was over. But then, 1 week later, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a photo of me, standing at my mother's grave. It was recent. I wore the blue sweater I only brought out once a year, for her birthday. And on the back, in Susan's sharp handwriting, were the words, "You're not the only one who can grieve." I snapped. I marched to her house. Banged on the door until my knuckles bled. When she opened it, she didn't flinch. Her eyes were red. She looked older than I remembered. Smaller. "Why?" I asked. "Why would you do this to me?" She looked down, then stepped aside. "Come in." I don't know why I went in. Maybe I needed to see the monster up close. Maybe I wanted to hear her say it. She poured tea. sat across from me. The living room was spotless. Sterile. My mother died alone, she said. In a home. I hadn't seen her in 10 years. I got a box of her things. That's all. A few photos. A cheap necklace. And a bag of clothes. I don't even know what happened to her ashes. I didn't speak. I saw your mother's sweater, she said. And I lost it. You had a room full of her things. You had time with her. You had closure. I had nothing. So you stole from me? She nodded. I did. And the necklace? She looked me straight in the eye. It fell off before they sealed her casket. The girl, my niece, was cleaning the prep room. She saw it on the table. She knew it belonged to you. But she knew I'd lost my mother. She gave it to me without asking. Said maybe it was fate. I was shaking. I wore it, Susan whispered. Because I needed a mother. I needed to feel close to something again. I didn't mean to hurt you. You destroyed her cards. You went through my trash. I did, she said. I didn't think you'd notice. I just wanted pieces of her. And then, when I saw how much you cared, I hated you for it. I stood up. I want the locket back. She reached into a drawer. Pulled it out. Still on the same chain. She laid it on the table. I took it. Didn't say thank you. On the way out, I looked at her one last time. You were right, I said. I had time with her. I had love. You didn't. And I feel sorry for you. But you made the choice to be cruel. She didn't answer. I left. That night, I buried the locket in the backyard. I wrapped it in the sweater, placed it in a sealed box with the scarf, and covered it under the rose bush my mom used to water every spring. I didn't want it in the house anymore. But I didn't want Susan to ever get it again. Some people never heal. Some people dig their claws into others and pull them down just to feel whole. But I'll tell you this, she'll never forget my mother now. And I'll never forget what grief, twisted and fed the wrong way, can turn someone into. Even me.